Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, The Affair, Episode 8, getting into the home stretch of Season 1 of this Showtime series. Alonso, Bibbs, let's have a look.
Yeah! Pure love cannot sustain in an imperfect world.
What's that for?
Sticking it out? Helen, nothing is gonna happen. I won't see her.
Why should I believe you?
Was that her?
Today, we will not dwell on tragedy.
Do you know why I married you? I thought you were safe.
I have everything I always wanted. This pain feels familiar.
Are you bulimic?
Yeah, that's always a great question to ask a teenage girl.
Right out of the bathroom, too. It's like,
Say, I have decided that Noah and Helen's therapist is Molly Dodd. Oh. That it's not just Blair Brown playing the therapist, that Molly Dodd herself, at some point since her show went off the air, like got a degree, became a therapist, and is now dealing with whiny upper-class married couples. Just it's my personal thing, but it's just a little thing.
I like to think this is what happened after Dawson's Creek, News Radio, The Wire.
They all got together.
They all got together and started fucking, and it's great.
And it's funny because Ruth Wilson is one of the voices in Locke.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I think she's actually the wife.
She's the wife. Yeah, she is the wife.
So somebody needs to do like the super mashup of The Affair and Locke with Ruth Wilson, cheating on, Tom Hardy with Dominic West.
I like it. Do it, Internet. Do it. Do it.
Some really sharp writing this episode.
As usual. It's
Yes.
almost not even worth pointing out.
True.
We're done here.
But some really good speeches, I should say, maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
My God, where Helen talks about how, I married you because you were sort of predictable and mediocre.
Well, because you wouldn't let me down. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think that's the kind subtext to what she's saying. But
that's the kind of thing that starts like a compliment. But the more you listen to it, you're like, oh my God, you really just chose this guy for his sort of blandness and how he was never going to be special enough to threaten your marriage, to threaten the stability of things.
And even his response, which is, I felt like I've had this standard to live up to. Yeah, I'll never be rich maybe, but like, I've got to be perfect, and I just wanted to make a mistake. I wanted to live, won't you let me live?
Well, in a way, it's almost like, because she's rich, she comes from money. In a way, it's not. It almost is sort of like it's like how hearing her describe how you would hire an assistant. You didn't seem like you had any sort of career ambitions that were going to threaten me. You were just going to always be there and be stable, and somebody I could rely upon. That's right. That's horrifying to hear. Well, I would imagine if you're married to somebody.
There's a lot of like us versus them kind of subtext this episode with Helen's family and Alice's family and. Allison's family. But they set it up rather awkwardly, I thought, at the beginning with the whole Romeo and Juliet thing. It was like,
that was a little on the nose, yeah.
Their love was perfect until old people started telling them, like, no, they couldn't control their hormones and they got people killed. It's a story of stupid mistakes.
They're stupid teenagers, exactly.
That's right. And I feel like
but of course, Noah is not going to see it that way because he's,
No, exactly. But I can't help but shake that contrast. Like, I'm going to go and be with your dad for like the Hamptons Literary Festival Award. Like, someone has to be there for this prestigious honor. And I'm not going to see her. I'm totally going to see her, and we're going to smoke pot. And I'm going to watch her mom die. I will say, what this show does really well is even beyond the actual affair itself, they handle a lot of the little details of human drama really well. I have never seen a death rattle done as well as it's done on The Affair. That moment where you're just like, oh God, we don't have much time.
Yeah, this is happening now.
Yeah, once you start making that noise, and I've heard that noise, that's a real noise. Yeah. It's over, and it's haunting, and they handled it very, very well.
And I love the thing that he tells her about when she's trying to like keep the grandmother alive, and he relates it to the death of her son. It's the kind of thing that he says it, and my first thought was, well, fuck you. And the second thought was, you actually have a point, and I could almost see that play across her face, like, don't you even fucking talk to me about my dead son. Oh, you're right.
Well, I mean, ultimately what she's saying is someone needed to point out to her also, I think, are you doing this for your grandmother, or are you doing this for you?
Well, sure.
That's the other issue here, is the do not resuscitate at that point.
And that's a huge thing, I think, in most people's dealing with end-of-life issues for a loved one.
Yeah.
Do they want to hang on, or do you need them to hang on? You know?
Exactly.
And what are you putting them through by making them hang on?
And it doesn't help when your mom is just an insufferable bitch.
Ugh.
Oh,
such a narcissist.
losing your mother is such an archetypal. Fuck you.
Yeah, so
Fuck
so
you.
archetypal that I can't stick around and help you through it. I got to go off to
Yeah.
an ashram or whatever.
Jesus
But she is
Christ.
right though. I mean, like when you get to the
Yeah.
point of cracking ribs and electricity in the heart, it's like let her go.
Because
you know?
it's coming from her mother, she can't even accept it.
No,
That's
of
the
course
thing,
not.
and I
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah,
You know, it's
why?
believable drama.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why listen to this woman when everything she says is so completely self-serving and like new age bullshit?
Yeah. There's something interesting about the way that John Doman's character interacts with Noah this time. It's like they finally have something to talk about. Yeah, we both cheated on our wives, and it was great.
And I got a great book out of it. You should do the same.
Right?
And apparently he does.
There's something really just sort of underhanded about that entire experience. It's sort of, marriage, but who cares? Books.
Well, but I think in a way, it's like you're right. They have something to talk about, but there's like this sort of shared experience now,
Right.
Where it's one thing for him to be like super successful published author, literary lion, and his punk school teacher son-in-law who wrote one shitty novel, and who cares? But now, you're cheating on your wife. Well, let me tell you, that's really good for the work, And so I kind of bought that moment. I thought that was pretty great.
Yeah.
And the kids sort of pop up and have their moment. I don't really get what the whole thing with the son is.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it wraps up with the kids, because the kids are now one of the most fascinating things about this, because we never see it from their perspective.
Yeah.
We only see it from the parents' perspective. So even Helen and Noah standing outside the bathroom door wondering if their daughter is bulimic or just sick or pregnant. That's my theory.
I hadn't thought about that.
Women don't throw up in movies or TV unless they are pregnant, bulimic, or drunk. She wasn't drunk. She may not. I see no evidence of her being bulimic. Maybe she's pregnant.
Amber Von Tussle in Hairspray throws up
That's
after
the
getting on
one
the tilt-a-whirl.
other time. Okay, but even then, that's a very clear, distinct motivation. You're never just sick.
You're right.
Like it's never like that. A guy can just be incidentally sick and throw up. A woman is incidentally, it's like, oh, I'm sick, I can't go
That's
to work.
true.
Pregnant? Of course she is. Come on.
Well,
it's the latest.
it's like if people cough in a movie, that's Chekhov's gun.
Well, and it makes me wonder if maybe that has something to do with, because we saw she had that. I guess it can't be, because she had that brief, almost fling with one of the Paceys.
Oh, right,
one of the
right,
Koch
right,
brothers.
yeah.
But it's been like 4 months. It's like Christmas. So surely we would have had some warning signs.
She's still
since then.
super skinny.
So
that's
probably
sure.
not. So probably not.
but
But even
not a
so,
bad
like we
idea.
don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on with the son, but it's always on the periphery. It's always an issue. And we know just as much about it as their parents do. And there's something kind of unsettlingly omnipresent about it.
Right, and at first, you get it's always the idea of like kids can sense when there's something wrong in the marriage, and there's something troubling in the house, but this stuff doesn't seem related to that somehow. Like all the issues about school and whatnot.
They're also just fucking teenagers.
Well,
And
exactly.
everything they do is some big drama.
It's a big plastic hassle,
I
man.
hated myself as a teenager. I hate myself as a teenager. I look back, I'm like, what was I? Oh, I was an asshole.
The word I still am having a little bit of an issue with the show is so about its structure in terms of like, this is the Noah half and this is the Allison half. And then we get like Javert thrown in, in these flash forwards where he's written the book and she's at the funeral. It's like, who's telling this part of the story?
I really want that. That's baffling to me at this point, because first we had a structure. They're telling it to a cop. They each have their own story. Fine. They leave. Now, why are we finding? Are we just looking at their memories now? What is the significance of the differing
the
stories?
fact that he keeps showing up clearly means he's still digging. He thinks there's more that they didn't tell him. Obviously, now he's figured out, because Noah's stupid enough to describe the thing outside of the hotel that he
Never
claimed not
write
to be
what
in.
you know, ever.
If it's incriminating in any event. So he's chasing up that, and and I did call that she was the reason she was rich was because they sold the house,
Oh yeah.
But as far as like, is she still Mrs. Pacey? Did they break up? I don't know.
Oh, isn't she preggers now? Didn't she see the thing and it said preggers?
Yes, that's
I'm
true.
always hesitant because there was a blue line, but is blue line pregnant or is blue plus pregnant?
Or is it 2 lines?
Different pregnant tests.
Yeah, you should
pregnancy
know
tests.
this. I do not.
Why
so,
should I know this? I've never been pregnant.
But you never know.
Okay, that I know of. I'll put it that way. But no, I mean, we're coming down to the final stretch here.
Yeah.
We got 2 episodes. We know there's got to be a death coming. There's got to be some sort of reckoning coming with the cop.
Well, an additional death besides the
No,
Koch
like
brother?
the one that we haven't seen. We haven't seen him actually die.
Yes, but we know.
We haven't seen the
we know
circumstance.
who. We don't know how or when.
Or even why. I mean, it could have anything to do with anything. It could have something to do with Whitney. Who knows?
Or with bowling alley guy.
Yeah, or he could have just slipped and fell. You know, shit happens. You know, like that's the thing. Most murder mysteries are really someone dies, and then it's an excuse to delve into everyone's lives and find out more about them. That's how Twin Peaks works. That's how practically every Raymond Chandler story works. It's just the structure. So that might actually be a complete MacGuffin and entirely incidental and just a way to get us into the story, but they do have to show it.
Well, I don't think it's a MacGuffin at this point, just because Javert is still around. You know, like they keep. He's still. He's just this underlying tension of every episode of like he's investigating this murder and he's bugging them and following them and stalking them, practically going to these public events where they're going to be.
So do you think it'll end satisfactorily when he finds a killer, or when he lets it go, or when he comes in and says some big speech, puts everything in context? What do you think?
I don't know. I never like to guess. I like to let shows sort of play out how they're going to go, but I hope that given how strong this show has been on so many other levels in terms of emotion and texture and character and stuff, that it doesn't get too subsumed into the sort of whodunit, you know, murder mystery aspect, because that would feel like a cheat.
Absolutely.
But I trust the show to be better than that.
Yeah, no, and as do I. 2 weeks. Two more weeks to go.
2 more to go.
So, you know, keep cheating on your spouses.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.